Taboo. Okay, so what are we looking at now? We're going to look at hotkeys. So just really quickly, this document that I put together, if we go into workspace here, you can see that basically these are all of our layers. And at the top up here, we have our hotkeys. I like to have stuff listed out all the time when I'm working, so I don't have to think. The more that I can be in animation mode, and the less I have to think, the better. And that even goes to, for example, just have your timing chart out here laid out if you need it, right? That you can quickly scribble on. Adjectives for you not to think, just to quickly go, okay, I'm doing character model sheets and turnarounds, and we're going to run through these, right? That's just a starting point. But then over here, basically the hotkeys. So, if you forget a particular hotkey, you can just go in there and then you can just have a quick look and go, okay, what was I using? But you can see there aren't too many hotkeys that you need to be using and to be animating with this particular document and with Krita, which is really great. I do actually know most of the hotkeys for all the tools in Krita, but I found simplifying and then putting the tool set up here just actually, I spent more time looking at the screen and being in the zone than actually looking down at my keyboard and pressing the wrong button and trying to work out what I pressed and why did my animation screw up. So hotkeys, how do we tweak them? That's the big question, right? It's actually under configure Krita, and you can see here general and then hotkeys. Now this is actually it's actually not a bad hotkey editor, to be honest. I could do some stuff really freaking well, really well. So if we take a look, we're looking for a hotkey, so we're looking for play, right? And we can see like here I put P for play. So there's kind of that cool stuff. So for example, we want to hit a stop animation, and you can put a hotkey in here, and it's as simple as just typing something like Control Alt Shift. What's a crazy key? There we go. And so that's our hotkey for this. Now, if we want to get rid of the hotkey, we can just click on that button. I think it's that button, and then that just removes it. And then once you're done, you just hit OK, and then all of your hotkeys are set. I used to teach at university, a number of academic institutions over the years, and one of my specialties was teaching After Effects, Premiere, Dreamweaver, Flash, everything that was related to animation like Photoshop, Illustrator, and I was a bit of a Photoshop god, but then I discovered open source, and I was kind of like, what? This is off the hook. You can't do this in Photoshop. And so I started getting into things more and more that way. I've assigned some of these. Some of the hotkeys here have been assigned like basically Photoshop hotkey settings. Especially like, for example, I use the freehand selection tool, which is known as the lasso tool in Photoshop. I use that little gem all the time. And it just works for me. That may not work for you, but the important thing here is to map your hotkeys so what works for you. One of the things that you'll notice with these hotkeys that I'm using up here is that they all pretty much live on the left-hand side of the keyboard, and then everything has to do with frames and animation pretty much lives on the right-hand side of the keyboard. Now, I have experimented, and I still do experiment with this from time to time. I am looking at a new key map at the moment, where everything is just on the left-hand side of the keyboard. But I do find when I'm working with keys, especially when it comes to 2D animation and the way that I animate, is that you can use two hands on the keyboard and bounce through the timeline really quickly that way. And most of this is to do with spacing keyframes on the timeline, and then the left-hand side of the keyboard is for drawing manipulation. Okay, so that is pretty much it for this one. That's how I have been using hotkeys in Krita for animation. Okay, thanks guys. Next one.